On this episode, we talk previous manager point stats, Ronaldo's stats against Chelsea as he's returning to the Premier League, and we talk transfers in and out on this episode of Rant Football Chelsea News.
God, we finally made it to the pinnacle. How long you waited for the antidote? Salute me like a 5-star general. Now strike a pose for the camera, yo, and go left to right, left to right.
Hi all, welcome to Rant Football Chelsea News. I'm your host Phill. I hope you're all doing great out there. And as you know, on this episode, there's no matches going on due to international duties. So we're just really going into other stuff like managers' points. Not too cool. I'm not adding him to the list yet. And, you know, Cristiano Ronaldo, as I said. But before we do that, can you please subscribe to Epic Shows? Press that bell notification at the top to get notification when new videos come out, and also like this video. It helps get it out to more people. Plus the final part, comment down below, join in and tell me what you think I've said and how you think it's going. So let's get going. So the first point is Chelsea managers points per game. Now this apparently was from Express Paul. Now Sport, I should say. Paul, what an idiot. This is the Roman Abramovich era. So I've been doing this because I've had a friend, Denny from America, who's been saying to me when Chelsea win, Tuchel, it's all down to Frank Lampard, it's his squad. Trying to explain to him it's not just down to a person putting a squad together. You can have the best squad in the world, but if you've got a manager sometimes who just isn't really up for that squad, it won't happen, and that's what Tuchel's doing. So as I said, Tuchel is taking Frank Lampard's squad. He's improving on it with a couple of signings here and there, what we'll get to later. And also he's brought players back in out the back, what Frank was just frankly ignoring, and he's put them back together, and he's put a title defending hopefully a title team together, and hopefully a Champions League defending team together if possible. So what we're going to do, we're going to start from top, who's actually been the best, how many games they've done, give you an idea, and then their points per game. It won't be super long. The shock for me who was top, you can guess a few who will be near the top and then who's near the bottom. So the first one in first place apparently was Avram Grant. Now he only had 32 games and he did have a very good squad. He got 2.31 points per game. So, you know, pretty much he was winning every game, they were saying at that point. Number two, Chelsea's most successful manager in history, Jose Mourinho. 212 games. Now 2.19 points per game. That is phenomenal. You forget how great it was. Well, Chelsea fans, it's unfortunate that he always self-destructed in the third year. He probably still could have been in charge now if he didn't have that self-destruction, and he learned how to adapt to the more modern game. Unfortunately, I still think Jose is a great coach, but I think some of his ideas now are a bit dated. We move on to Antonio Conte, one of my favourite ever Chelsea managers. His passion was there. I know he upsets a lot of people in the club and away from the club, but I enjoyed him. I always thought if you trusted him, he really could have built a Chelsea squad himself, what would have dominated for years. Now, he only had 76 games. Obviously won a few things himself, and his points per game was 2.14, so slightly less than Jose, but it's still very amazing to me. Then we've got Claudio Ranieri, Roman Abramovich's first ever manager. 38 games, 2.8 points per game, so pretty good. And as Denny likes to say, he's the one who kind of put Jose's squad together. He just didn't know how to push it on to the next point, even though I would say Jose did bring some quality players in himself what took it on to the next point. Hopefully what Tuchel's doing as well now. One of my other favourites coming up now is Carlo Ancelotti. I think the club done him dirty. I'm never going to lie about that. 76 games, 2.7. This is a man who won the Premier League with one of the highest scoring Chelsea teams, and it was fun to watch. The season later, he came second and he got sacked. I never understood that. It was a weird one. He got as a 2.7 per game. He was a good manager. Yet again, another one at the time could have built a good squad together. Now a controversial manager right in the middle. It's Rafael Benitez. That's 26 games and 1.96. Chelsea fans, most of us will not like Rafa. the Spanish waiter, as we like calling him. I won't put the word at the beginning, it's not very nice. But you know, he actually got 1.96 with a Chelsea squad what was a bit of a mess at the time. And he did go on to win the Europa League with Chelsea. So I think he won a few fans over by the end of the season, but he was never going to fit in at Chelsea. And I think that's why he was only short term. We move on to Luis Felipe Scolari. So Filippo, whatever you want to say. I remember when he first came in, I was quite young then, and slim, and had more hair. God, good old days. He came in and you were hoping for the Brazilian sexy football that he had from his Brazilian squad. It didn't necessarily materialise, unfortunately. He had 25 games and was 1.96 points. So, yeah, and so him and Rafa sharing the same points. We move on to the next one. The man we used to call in all the time when things were going wrong and we'd have to break the glass to bring him in, Gus Hiddink. Now, he actually had 34 games over so many different periods. You know, so he was always brought in one of the FA Cups. I'll never forget in the yellow kit with Frank Lampard and that, and Gus with his massive cigar winning the FA Cup. That was brilliant. So 34 games, 1.94 points per game. So not great. You can see the problem here. Now, here comes a man who was never going to be long term, but is a legend as a player and as a manager for what he did in the Villas-Boas season. Now, Villas-Boas is just underneath him, and that is Roberto Dia Mateo. Only had 23 games, points per game was 1.83, but you know, I don't care about that. He won the Champions League as manager. He made some of the greatest comebacks against, I believe, Napoli. Who can forget Barcelona? And obviously the final against Munich. It's sad that it never worked out for him as a manager with Chelsea or very further on. I don't see him really managing anymore. But he was, you know, he was already a legend on the pitch for us. We loved him as a player in the 90s and that. And to see him to go on to win it as a manager was just a perfect scenario. So the one straight after him, and by the way, Di Matteo only had 23 games, if you're wondering. Now, the one underneath who actually had more games, and I really couldn't stand from day one. He was an assistant. They tried to think he would be the next not Frank Lampard, I should say, the next Jose Mourinho. He was nowhere near Jose's qualities. He talked a good game, but he didn't know how to lead a good game. And that was Andres Villas-Boas, also a Tottenham manager who was terrible at Tottenham. I don't care what Tottenham fans says. Now, he had 27 games and only 1.70 points per game. He was rubbish. I didn't stand him, and I'm glad he's not there. If he ever came back, I'd be shocked. Now, at the bottom of this pile here, I do feel sorry for the man. He was thrown in the deep end after a transfer ban was put into place. He was very young in his managerial career, and I think the job came too early, and I think most of you will agree with me and know who I mean. That is Frank Lampard. 57 games, points per game, 1.67. Frank, yet again, I felt sorry for him. Obviously, last season we went and won the Champions League without him, even though he was in charge most of the season. Midway through the season, I say he was in charge of that squad. Unfortunately, he shunned players. He fell out with older players. I'm not sure what happened, but it wasn't good for the team. Tuchel came in, and the rest is history. Champions League winners and lost the FA Cup final. Now, Frank, the season before, let's talk about the positives. The season before, transfer ban, aging squad. He brought loads of youth through. That squad finished in the top four. It got to an FA Cup final. We thought, come on, here's Frank Lampard. He can be the future for Chelsea. And if you want my truth, I think he will be in the future. I think he needs 3 more years, maybe tops, just managing at different clubs, maybe Championship, definitely back in the Premier League at some point. Get his nuance and, get his experience in. And I think he could come back, as a manager of Chelsea in the future. This job just came too early. I will always thank him. He jumped in when no one else wanted the job. He did a great job. He built a great squad, what we are still building on now, his squad. And he brought people like Mount and that through. So thank you very much, Frank Lampard. We are moving on. And because of you, we won't forget what you've done for us, especially the season we won the Champions League. That was your squad. So anyway, we're now moving on to Cristiano Ronaldo and his records and stats against Chelsea. Now, I know a certain Andrew who does Rant Football will be interested in this point because he's a Man United fan. So hopefully it's popping up on the screen as my face lit up. Cristiano Ronaldo versus Chelsea. Now, 15 games played, he lost 6. He's drawn 4 and 1 goal scored. Pocketed from Chelsea 2003 to 2009. Now, obviously, I'm just having a little laugh with this. Cristiano Ronaldo is one of the greatest ever to play the game of football. I do love winding Andrew up, pointing out the age of Ronaldo. I think you may get something good out this year, but it's coming to that point now when it can just start fading for no reason for him. Fitness, movement, like his head will always be sharp, but maybe the movement might not be there. So I've been joking with Man United fans. And personally, if you watch Talk Sport, Conte upset the other presenter because he said that he hopes Ronaldo does terrible. So do I. I want to win the league, and Ronaldo with Man United in the league, it helps Man United be title contenders, so I want him to do rubbish. It's the same as I like to think Man United fans want Lukaku to do rubbish, Havertz to do rubbish, Conte to be rubbish, all the Chelsea players. I want all Man United players rubbish. I want Salah, Mane, all that to do rubbish. I want Man City not to be able to score many goals, even though they seem to anyway without a striker. You want the teams around you to muck up and lose. That's what you want. So don't lie about it. Do I want to see him great? Yeah, he can do great for Portugal. And, if Chelsea do go and win the league, I hope he scores against the other teams and he helps Chelsea win the league. I just hope he's terrible, really terrible against Chelsea. And if they get too close to Chelsea, he fades away. I want to win the league title. Right, let's move across to summer sales this season. Now, I believe it was an interesting transfer market for Chelsea. I still think we should have brought a centre-back in after letting a player go. But, what we got in, what we will get to after this is quite interesting. So let's go for the players out. We'll start off with Olivier Giroud. Obviously, he went to AC Milan. He's aging on with a certain striker in now. He's probably not needed anymore. They're obviously tracing more on Havertz and that, playing up top as well. To if one of the two main strikers are out. We look Lewis Bates leave as well to Leeds United. Interesting one from the youth team, but enough of that. I don't really know much about the youth, so I don't really want to go. We got Victor Moses is finally gone for good. He's gone to Spartak, I believe, Moscow in Russia. So thank him for the times when he won the Premier League. We've got, is it Tino Livramento? I can't say names very well, especially the foreign. I think that's the striker we moved on to Southampton. I think he's only out on loan or something, if that's the one I'm thinking of. Or we got a buyback clause on him, one of the two. But he's quality, and I think he could be the future. David Zaba Costa, I remember being there for his first Europe Cup game in the Champions League and him scoring a 1 goal. And we thought, we got a left back here. No, it didn't work out for him. He's gone to Atlanta. We got Mark Gervais, he's gone to Crystal Palace. Kurt Zouma to West Ham. I think it's going to help West Ham a lot. He can be a bit of a calamity James sometimes, though, in games, and will give penalties away. But I'll tell you one thing he'll do for West Ham. He'll score headers for corners. You don't see many Chelsea players score corners, do you? I don't know if anybody notices that. Zouma used to be the man who knew how to do it. Tomori, I'm always going to be upset about this young man who went to AC Milan. He, to me, was quality, and I think, unfortunately, we've had to sell him. But I'd like him back at any time. I think he can be quality. And the next one also, Tammy Abraham. I think he's going to thrive at Roma. Now, I think he's going to have a great time there. I think he's going to score goals. And I think he's going to get the experience he needs under Jose Mourinho and foreign football. Now, I do understand there is a buyback clause in his contract. So hopefully, if he does turn out to be world class, I really hope he does, we get him back. Because I think he maybe should have stayed this season with only... We say Lukaku is an out-and-out striker. You would say Werner plays on the left of a striker. Same with people like Havertz and that. I think it's a big gamble, and I think Tammy, for some reason, Tuchel just didn't fancy him. And we've got to trust Tuchel, obviously, but I feel he could have thrived with Lukaku being at the club as well. So let's get into the players who come. We had a goalkeeper coming from Fulham. I'm just going to pass that one. His third choice. You should know who it is. He's been on, I've talked about it on previous ones as well. Obviously, we got Romelu Lukaku back in as well from Inter Milan. I think this really happened because, one, Conte left in the Milan. Two, they're in so much debt. And three, the allure of the club. He's always loved Chelsea. I think Lukaku would do well. How well, time will tell. The curse of number 9 at Chelsea always worries me. 97 million as well is always a bit of a worry. as well. Big money. Hopefully he can perform. Obviously he scored on his debut. And we can't really go by the Liverpool game. We played a whole half with 10 players. Now the new exciting one for me, at first I wasn't sure why we was getting another midfielder in, but he's different from the rest of the midfielders at Chelsea. It's Saul Niguez. It sounds like a very shrewd sign. He's on loan this season with a possible 30 million on top to sign him full time. He's left-footed midfielder. I don't know why. I've always liked a Spanish midfielder in the Chelsea team. I think it's down to Fabregas. I think this guy can bring something a little bit different than the other midfielders we've got. He's known for scoring a few goals a season, and he likes playing forward football, what always suits me. So what did he say about joining Chelsea? Well, Sal said, "I'm very excited to start the new challenge with the Chelsea. Blues fans, I'm one of you now, and I can't wait to wear the shirt. Start training and see you all soon." That's on the official Chelsea website. He gets me excited. I know he's already training. He hasn't been doing international football. What's good for Chelsea? He's in with the squad, and I am absolutely looking forward to this left-footed wonder guy. I hope he does the magic bits. So if I go by the transfers this season, what do I think? I think Chelsea's had a fantastic transfer window this year. We've strengthened. I think if we got the defender in Conte, it would have been the perfect transfer window. But if I gave it out of 10, it's 8 out of 10. As I say, Conte would have took it to a 10 for me. We've got a strong midfield. We've just made it stronger. We've got a striker what fills in the gaps what we've had problems with. Third choice goalkeepers coming. We've kept 2 class goalkeepers, and yes, Kepa will turn out to be world class soon. I think a lot of confidence and a lot of factors were there. Then you've got the likes of Havertz and that. I hope Werner improves this season. We've got a great midfield, great defenders, as you saw against Liverpool. And I really think we can fight on to win this title this season. Right, so before we go, let's have some fun stats. Chelsea's most expensive signings. I'll go from bottom to top. Kovacic, Real Madrid, he was £40 million. Timo Werner, everyone goes, oh, look, you spent 48 million. Actually, 48 million in the modern game is nothing now, it seems. RB Leipzig, obviously. We bought Fernando Torres in back in the day from Liverpool for 50 million. It didn't totally work out, but I will never forget his goal against Barcelona in the semi-finals of the Champions League, the year we went on and won it. So to me, he was worth every penny. Ben Chilwell from Leicester, 50 million. I'm not sure what's going on with Chile right now. I'm not sure if it's just fitness and that, and the manager's not choosing him over Alonso. I'm hoping this ain't going to be a dud, but I think Chilwell's quality, so we'll see how time goes with him. Next one was Jorginho from Napoli. He's proved me totally wrong. His first season, I didn't like him. He was too slow. He didn't adapt quick enough to the English game. He cost 57.4 million. Now his quality, arguably one of the best centre midfielders in the world right now. Not the best, one of the best, before people start crying. Christian Pulisic from Borussia Dortmund, 58 million. I don't think we're getting for what we've paid for. I think he can be good in spurts, but he's too injury prone. If he could have a season without injuries and do what he does, he'd be worth every penny, but it doesn't work out. Guy who I really don't think is worth the money next is Alvaro Morata from Real Madrid, 65 million. We got done. Plain and simple. He wasn't great. He looked like the part. He looks like he would be the perfect Hollywood striker. He wasn't. Next one, Kai Havertz, buying Leverkusen, 70 million. Now, Kai Havertz, the first season, a lot of people weren't sure about him. I kept on saying to my friends and that, trust the process with this lad. He's moving over in COVID. Nothing's open. He got COVID bad, as I've told you many times before. And now you're seeing the Kai Havertz. I think you're going to see better and better as it goes on as well. Number 2, who used to be our number 1, is Kevin Kepa. I'm not going to say his name. I can't say it. I'm not going to embarrass myself. From Atletico Bilbao, 71.6 million. A lot of money. A lot of people say it's not worth the pennies and the pounds that we spent on him. I still think he could turn out to be a quality keeper. I think he'll start pushing Mendy very soon for that number 1 spot. But what he did in the Super Cup as well, probably paid for at least 10 million of that money, so we can put him down to 61 million. Hopefully he's grown up now as a person himself, and he's growing outwards. You can see his physique's getting better. Hopefully he'll get better and better, and I really hope he improves and he fights Mendy for the top spot, because I want the best in goal. So if it's him or Mendy, you want the competition there. But he's not bad for a number 2. And then obviously our top price striker, who I alluded to and chatted about earlier, from Inter Milan, Lukaku, for 97.5 million. Let's hope he turns out to be the stuff. Yeah, again, you can see on screen now, we're going to have a little bit of fun with total net spend on transfers this season, it looks like. And So we'll go Arsenal on first. They spent 131.8 million. Time will tell. It's not looking good. Then Man United 103.7 million, but you would say quality signings. Man City would have been a lot higher if they got a striker in, but they got 72.7 million. We're talking West Ham next at 633 million, I believe. By the way, Man City was 727. I think 72 million. I can't really see. I'm going to have to zoom the screen in. It's a really bad picture. I hope you can see it better on the screen now. So I say West Ham was 63.3 million, not 633. What a moron. Leicester City 555 million dead on. Tottenham Hotspurs 54.6 million. Leeds 43 million dead on. Brentford actually spent 31.1 million. Crystal Palace is 28.5, but I think they're in trouble this season. Newcastle only spent 25 million. We know how Simon feels about that. Simon is part of Rant Sports and Epic Florida Project. Check out both shows. Rant Sports is just a podcast, and Epic Florida Project is actually on Epic Shows, where we talk all things Universal, Disney, inside and outside the theme parks, to give you some news and keep you up to date. Also a podcast if you just like to listen to it. We move on. So Burnley is 17.5 million. Wolves spent 12.4 million. Liverpool spent 11.5 million. Now, I know what you're going to think, why is Chelsea's 3.1 million? This is because this is total net spend on transfers, because Chelsea have sold players out and that barrows the number down. So if you're all confused by the numbers, this is why Chelsea is so low, and it shows you how great Chelsea are at business. Everton only spent 1.6 million. Then the teams in the green, we've got Watford minus 5.5 million. Norwich minus 6.1. Aston Villa minus 7 million. That's a lot to do with Grealish. Brighton minus 17.9. That's a lot of the money, the player who went to Arsenal. And then Southampton, ridiculously low, minus 25 million. So you probably, as I said, you probably saw that all on the thing. Now, if you're trying to see it out the other way around, I'll try and help you out. Total transfer fees received. So this is money the clubs have made by selling players, I believe, for this transfer window. So as I said, Aston Villa made 100 million. Grealish. Chelsea have made 94.4 million. Great bit of business there, see? So that's pretty much the whole of the Lukaku money back just there. So that's why, if anybody says Chelsea bought the league, up yours. We did what we needed to do, and we sold in and out, so we haven't just overspent. Brighton, the next 50 million. Yeah, again, that's the Arsenal player. Southampton 40 million. Norwich 38 million. Man United 30 million. Not bad considering you think how much Ronaldo cost them this season alone, so that's a good bit of business as well. Ronaldo was dirt cheap, let's be truthful. Maybe his wages ain't, but his transfer was. Man City 27.3 million, Arsenal 25 million, Liverpool 24.5 million, Watford 10 million, Wolves 4 million, Tottenham 2.5 million, and the rest dead zero. Now, I hope you've all enjoyed all this stuff. It's just a few bit of stats. There's not much going on. Am I looking forward to Chelsea coming back? Yes. Am I keeping an eye on the internationals to make sure none of our stars get injured? Hell yes. Well done to England for winning their first game. This will be out before England's second game. I hope you've enjoyed this video, guys. As I said before, subscribe to Epic Shows. Press that bell notification for more Rant Football videos, not just from me, but from Andrew himself as well, as he talks all things Manchester United. Check out the other show on here, the Epic Florida Project, as I said earlier, where me and Simon talk all theme park news in Orlando and outside the theme parks to let you know what's going on for your entertainment value. As I say, Rant Sports is out there as well, people. If you want to hear an adult podcast, there's a lot more of us on there talking about generally football, but other sports as well. That is adult based, so that is a warning for you. But as I say, Rant Sports, the Epic Florida Project, and Ghost Aliens Beyond, my other show, all podcasts, and obviously Rant Football, what is here on Epic Shows. Comment down below, tell me what you think of everything I've shared today. Do you think I talk utter rubbish? Are you in agreement? What you thinking Chelsea are going to be like when they come back from the international break, unfortunately? And guys, it may not be many as long videos or videos recorded as well. I am going on holiday very soon. You'll see on the videos where I am, so it won't be as easy for me. But from me to you, I hope you enjoyed this episode and see you on the next Rant Football.